Hello and welcome, as it is the end of the third day of March 2018, and like always, everything is your own risk and own reward. This will be an altcoin video, and I'm going to primarily show coins that I think might be ready to go pretty soon. Coins that have shown statements that it's either ready to go or a failed move, fast move lower to be coming soon. And the list of coins in which I'll be going over in this order is as follows. There's quite a few of them. But I'm also going to start off by showing what a lot of coins on the alt side look like, just in continuous downtrend, basically grinding lower, recently breaking through levels of support, basically. So let's start off just by showing what most coins look like. But OK Cash, Core rather, I'm not going to show OK in this one. But although it shows it might be ready too, but I already talked about that recently. Anyway, this resistance level hit many times. Maybe it'll find support there, maybe it won't. But however you look at it, it's like a double bottom formation, and just the possibility this thing might get going. But when you have these big moves like this, keyword is maybe it'll find support at this major resistance level from before it's at now. And maybe it'll come back down the band, and maybe it'll be a failed breakout, fast move lower. Oh, this would be a big one if that's the case. But we'll just keep watching this one as time goes on. Now let's take a look at some of the coins in downtrends. Well, red coin is one that's showing like it's going to have a failed breakout, fast move lower. So I think this is more likely to go lower soon than it is to go up next. V is just hanging in there at the 18 average of lows, but it's at a key support level, already tested twice recently. Capricorn just grinding in with the 18 average of lows. I mean, maybe at any time it'll bounce soon, but it's not showing any strength by any means at this point that the bulls want to take the dice and roll the next turn. And there's always ZCL, but I mean, yeah, it's down. Ethereum Classic has had a bunch of red days down in a row, so if you're looking for a buy decently below the 18 average of lows, it's also at a key spot. That's where Ethereum Classic is at. It's got a little bit more possible gap fill lower. And Verge is in a downtrend within the 18 average, looking to break support possibly. Bitcoin Cash, I got plans, not in the near term, but sometime in the near term, to start accumulating such. Within the month, I really want to add to the position, but right now this keeps going lower. So without further ado, let's start showing the coins that I think are ready to go. And we have Neos, which you've seen the band flatten out. And what I like about what we're seeing here is this is now under the third day where it's riding this 18 average of highs after it's had its second move from here, because you have a move to the 18, back down here, back up to this 18 high again. And riding this, that's now made the 18 average of low start to rise. So therefore, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing does have a breakout at any given time soon. And like with a lot of these other coins, and like a move like this, who knows if it could have a major gain. Well, you increase the probability odds, basically. This is solar. This doesn't look as good. But when you look at codes like this, the band's starting to flatten out. When you're in a downtrend, like all the coins, or even like it was before this green candle, the odds of having a nice move like we've seen in here aren't that good. So when you see something like this, it just means it's starting to look a little bit better. And it could go, but it's definitely not probable. It is off of an area of key support, though. So that'll be interesting how this plays out. Flow has had an extended second period of this band flattening out, because it did so from February 9th through the 18th, but it didn't have that big of a leg lower when it came down. It pretty much matched the previous low, and it's had several days just going sideways in here, mainly at the start, resisting the 18 lows, but now for the last few days, it's resisting the 18 average of highs, so it's showing a little bit progression within Florin, FLO. ERC, you know, interesting, we look at the support here, it barely pierced below it, but regardless of the fact, I do like after this green candle how it's consolidating this 18 average of highs a little bit. It is a little overextended for 3 days, where when you look at this on the hourly and shorter term time frames, there can very easily be a correction, 18 average of lows even. But this thing could very easily get going. And again, just because I like how the last little bit has followed through from this green candle higher. PivX, we are seeing a situation with the band flattening out for a little bit. And yesterday's session, or the one that just finished rather, stayed within the 18 average of highs. And this thing is looking a little bit better. It was in this downtrend where it resisted this 18 average for quite some time. So definitely some signs showing that this might be ready to turn over to the upside. BRK, which is breakout. And one warning sign when you're playing these moves, when it just starts off like this, the downtrend can oftentimes be difficult to take out. And if you look at a break above here, I'll give it a decent shot of making a nice leg higher. But it's just now gotten the stage where this has had a flattening of the band. And it's the best progression it's had since this down move has started. But it looks okay, nothing too fantastic though. Now on to Faircoin, which has been in a decent downtrend from this point, as came down to the key Fibonacci support. And the band's flattened out. Again, just trying to revert the trend. It can take a decent amount of time sometimes for this to revert. Maybe it would need a little bit more time going sideways, but that's always still a maybe. But it's now at the stage where how is it going to hold this move, leaving the 18 average of highs? Because even if you see a couple days where it can stay above 4,700, it would make the look of this pattern be that much better. But it's got a better chance now of having a 40, 50, 100% update today than it did any time since it fell down below this 18 average of lows in late January. Moving on to Trust. Again, this is a situation where it's trying to flatten out this situation. Price has gotten above the 18 average of highs for the first time. So it's just starting to come out of this 18 average of lows. We'll see how it goes from here. It could just pop at any time now. It's more likely than it was a few days ago, but it does show signs that this thing might be ready to have at least one leg higher relatively soon without much further retracement lower. Even the Litecoin to Ethereum market, which after this nice gain from one line to the next has had the support in here. I mean, it's got to get above this 18 average, but if it does so, that's the type of situation you look for. Up move, a consolidation time, or a correction like it was in here through time. There's the up move, correction through time. And one of the things that you might look for is the leaving of the 18 of highs for, of course, that significant break you'd be looking for. But it's also saying that Litecoin, despite not doing the greatest lately, it's up there with codes like Dash and Ethereum selling off as well, which is the majors, with the exception of like codes like Monero, aren't doing the greatest right now in the short-term run, which is the last few days. Let's move on to Aurora, which I first heard about that from a movie in Wayne's World. There's an Aurora, Illinois. Did not know that. Actually, from the TV show Saturday Night Live. That's bringing me back to the late 1980s. But it's a coin, AUR, and after this high, it had a sideways or down move to this level of support. Several days going sideways, resisting the 18 lows. And after this green candle up, had a full day on Saturday of going sideways with low volatility after that move. So sellers didn't come in, and further momentum definitely could point that it could at least make a run to the previous high in at the 22 handle. But this level of key resistance, basically between 20 and where this resistance at 24, pretty big. So you can see if it gets above that, you never know. Maybe you could have big moves up to the 36 area, because that's what a lot of these crypto does. That's what they do. Big moves to the upside when they're ready to go. Here we have Factom, FCT, and in this situation in here, After the price action got above the 18 average of highs, it hasn't really done much, but it also hasn't fallen below the 18 lows as well either. So because of the very long consolidation of time, then I would be thinking if this thing does break out above this point, then it would be ready for a decent gain. But seeing action fall and stay below 27.28, you'd be looking for another lower low. Now, last time the lower low was only from here to here, 28 to 25. So how big of a move you would get, like each one has only been significantly smaller. That's always the case until it's not, but bottom line is this is the best that the market has done since this decline started within the 18 average right now. Burst, B-U-R-S-T, which is a very volatile code. A lot of them here are. It's had a lot of support at about this 300 handle, but significant time with the market going sideways. Very good rally that came back, but it hasn't sold off. At least nothing big, so it stayed in the range after this first attempt. And like I stated, a lot of times it can take a while to revert the trends, and this is an example of such. Because you have this gain up here, breaking above, so back when you're looking at this, it's like, oh, this thing might be ready to go. But you get further consolidation. I do like within this one how it has now spent both Saturday and Friday consolidating within the 18 average of highs. So the price really didn't accelerate too much, but it has stayed and held above areas. It hasn't done so in several days. So with the 18 average sideways, when it's ready to go, like back in here, we can see downtrend, market goes sideways, and then when it was ready to go, as we can see, there's a little bit of a push, hold 18 average of highs, holding it for one session, and there's a big move. So let's move on to the next code, which is that of voxels, which has a lot of these interesting places, which is ideal for sell orders. But for the first time with this market, its 18 average is in a declining facet. It's had a couple sessions getting above the 18 average of highs, and well, that's where it stands right now. So that's basically it with this, that it's had that move. But you know, this is a decent enough situation where if the price action can or doesn't stay and hold above like right around the support level, 1220-ish area, and you see some of these types of looks where it just stays there for a day or two, then you definitely be in high concern for another leg lower. And when you're talking about the next leg lower from here, you'd be talking about going down from about 1185 and probably down to at least around 800. Maybe low 800s as just a, I'm not going to say conservative, but the best projected area I could give. And here we have Guppy, G-U-P. And right now it's got the band flattening out for a few sessions. 18 average of highs is really starting to go up because of these 3 sessions in here. The 18 average of lows will start to barely increase as well, but the trend change ever since it started declining in January has never had this type of look until now. So if it can hold these 3 days worth of gains and the 18 average, you'd be looking at holding 3,000. If it can do that, then this thing could be ready for a decent gain, but it's definitely be a failed breakout situation. If this thing is unable to hold, if 3,000 would work at any type of resistance area level, like I was mentioning before, day or two, sort of like this, yeah, it'd be definitely moved to previous low at about the 1835 handle. Ion is next on the daily time frame, which This is the interesting thing, because when I state that all of these markets was the band sideways, showing maybe whatever bit of strength and such, that it increases the odds of the big gain, it isn't likely when you have a day that closes like this that you're going to have this. So now, okay, first rally, is it going to be something you're going to want to believe? These markets become very difficult to assess. So it could go But I don't know. I'm a poet, didn't even know it. I'm not a poet, but I really do think it's important to point out that when you do get these situations, sometimes it's better to be on the fence or just wait for this to settle in, get a better point of view. Or if you want to take any type of risk, well, that's obviously your own risk, own reward. Of course, if you're already in it, that means sell orders got hit, and then you can start to consider buying back. So that's like the easy part, because you bought down, breaking down below the support. Okay, so if you bought at, say, 30 down in here, didn't sell up here, we'll say. Okay, now you bought once down here, and then you sold some. Okay, this is what you bought here. Maybe you sold up there, maybe you didn't. But if you did, well, maybe you buy it back, because you would have sold at, say, 54, price is 31. Difference of 23, that's a pretty good buy back if you sold here. So that's like one way of looking at it as well. But as far as trying to determine what's going on after a situation like this becomes very difficult. SLS did the exact same thing. I mean, how are you supposed to tell in here? Oh, okay, ready to go. This thing is just going to break out. Now, of course, say it is just down so much and you want to buy. I mean, that's what I did. I bought in here and I've sold a little bit. And that's got some decent volume to this move, so that's definitely something you want to keep your eye on. You see how this one here started with big volume, and it's been declining on decent volume, but lower. That's to be expected either way, and as it is, but definitely something you want to keep your focus on. But as far as how much further this could go down on a bullish level, well, the 18 average of lows on the daily is rising at around 43. Fibonacci, just a 61.8% retracement from here to here. You're looking at around the same variable as well. As far as how this market has played out, we can see more about, well, I'm not going to say failed move, fast move, as the breakdown in here. There's a lot of data here. It's basically stair-stepping these longer-term higher highs and higher lows. After making this low here, it did not break this high, at least not as of yet. But a lot of consistent higher lows when we consider the low here, then again in here, twice hit but barely here. I guess you can count this one, although that's more of a short-term low. Then this one, and now looking like this one. If it isn't, failed move, fast move, and breaking down below the support, that would be ugly. But for now, we'll see how this plays out. Let's move on to the next one. That is Nexus NXS, which also just broke out when it looked like this. But it came through, and now it's back down to this level. So everything's pretty much the exact same thing. A really wicked failed move, fast move if this thing does not turn around. The 18 average of lows, you still got in at about 19,000, so it could be a bit of retracement there, plus the 61.8%. Just wait and see for me, because it's the exact same as the other ones, or the other last one, rather. And this is the second last one in cloak. And this is how you kind of want to read the charts, I guess, because there's your decline. And here with this green candle, it got up to the 18 average of highs, settled in there for a few days, and then the small red candle down day, hugging the 18 average of lows, and it did so for several days thereafter. And then you get a decent move that breaks out above, and you notice this breakout happened after it showed this type of neutrality. And now it's come back. This is coming from higher volume. So if you're ever looking for a move where something just breaks out and comes back, I would rather trust this one than the previous two that was shown. And okay, you know, got this at in the 18 average, or the 61.8% Fibonacci, I would think would be very strong. That probably wouldn't be too much decline. Maybe an extra, well, not much at all, really. Just probably, and that's, of course, if this is the real move, because failed move, fast move, if it doesn't happen. This is a significant break above this level of resistance. And therefore, if it doesn't happen and you see weakness thereafter, 18 average, it goes in it, but it doesn't go back above it. You start to see price action, hugging and staying to the 18 lows. And then the weakness at this major level of support at about the 88 handle. If you see that, you already got the indication that it's going to be a significant drop lower of at least 20,000 Satoshi, or to at least around the 60,000. So let's go to the final code, which is VRC. And in here, again, situation band flattened for a few days, and then a couple days back it gets above it, but retraces. And Saturday's session, a beautiful update, awesome volume for it as well, and a little bit of a retracement. As far as its overall market is concerned, this thing has basically been choppy, which is relatively awesome for trying to buy low and sell high within the strategy that I talk about. But as far as just passing the dice that I talk about, and the 18 average tells you who has the dice, so whose turn it is. Because we can see that from the November timeframe, the bears bringing it down, they're in control. Price action never above the 18 average of highs, often below the 18 lows. Then it breaks out on the 12th of December. Price action never below the 18 average of lows, always never below the 18 average of lows, and sometimes above the 18 average of highs. The dice was in the bulls camp. You can even make a case that during the run from, well, the bears having a turn here, but this was overall. Whose turn do you want to be? You're just trying to determine on the break. Obviously, the bears took that turn, and now the bulls look to have another one as well. So you look at the comeback to support, you could say it's very similar to where it was on December the 15th. After it had the big rally on the 12th and 13th of December on big volume, it came back down to the 18 average, and then it grinded its way for about a month before having two spectacular gains of magnificent profits. Okay, thank you for tuning in to this video. Again, everything, like always, is your own risk and your own reward. Take care. Bye-bye.